Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Happy Wednesday. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. John? All right, you should be able to see my Thinkorswim platform. Shiv, good to see you, Chris. Excellent. Okay. Excellent, John. Good to hear. Yeah, I saw it end up filling the gap too. Always got to be aware of that gap, don't you? Okay. So today, we'll definitely go over a few different things. Let me first bring up SPY. So when we talked a couple weeks ago, right, we said we'll probably continue to hit new highs. We'll always have retracements, kind of right here is more of a came down into the cloud, then back up. But at some point, we're going to have retracements. But as long as retailers continue to short the absolute heck out of this market, folks, we're going to continue to head higher. Okay. This is my own work here. This magic cloud I have. I did a webinar on it yesterday. You can go to the YouTube and I can put the YouTube in the chat in case somebody hasn't seen it. You can watch it. Okay. Yeah, I just put it in there for you. 44 minutes of pure pleasure. Okay, but anyway, so again, the SPY, my expectations is that it's going to continue doing what it's doing. If we get any retracements, okay, like we did here, wait for your signals for that buying opportunity, okay? But we're going to continue to kind of slowly head up here because retailers continue to short. They continue to short. Whether it's a SPY, whether it's Qs, right? Q's been a little bit weaker. It never hit a high this week, okay? And so, as you know, the NASDAQ is just more volatile regardless, right? So going into it that, you're going to have a bigger range, but there's more upside in my opinion, okay? Because it's in the magic cloud here, but it's holding, right? Like here was a beautiful hold. So as long as it holds in here, okay, and then we get a new trigger, which, one way of looking at triggers when you've got a solid uptrend like that is a 4-hour, right? So here's a 4-hour trigger we're waiting on, right? Nothing yet, but that could be your new entry if you're looking to go long the Qs, whenever that is here in the near future, right? So use those shorter time frames in an aggressive trend in order to find some of your entries if you really want to get in. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring up my watch list here. Bear with me. Sorry, I should have been prepared for it, but I got back late. Let's see. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Okay. So with Bitcoin, again, during this downtrend, here's a good example where it came into the, into the magic cloud and then rolled right back over. Obviously, I use Hackenacci. So when you have a Laguerre, Hackenacci, an agreement, and then you can see the trend now, right? This is my definition of a trend now. Okay, that's a great trade. Now what's happened with Bitcoin? You can see here we've been heading higher, and more than likely, if this thing keeps going, we'll test that 58,000, and then by the end of the year, hit new highs. Okay, when it gets going, right? That's kind of the thing about Bitcoin. Now I did a short play here, okay? Because it was a good risk reward play. I had my stop rate above, so I'm like, because what I was hoping for is it come back down. We were getting the Laguerre coming down, a red dot, okay, but then it didn't. And you say, well, you went against your cloud. Absolutely. And I'll do that at times, but only when there's a really tight risk reward, okay? If I'm looking at a number one risk trade, then I'm not taking that because it's against the cloud, okay? So it doesn't mean I can't. It means that I don't have that proponent going for me, but again, I had it was $800 a contract on the futures market of micro Bitcoin, okay? So it wasn't that big of a deal. But if I hit it right, I was expecting it to come down and test that 30,000 again, okay? So Bitcoin, it looks like at this point, it wants to continue higher. So again, what am I looking at? Riot's an option, right? See, that's looking good. Now we're at the top of the 2.5 standard deviation band. Last time I did that, see what happened. So I'd be careful. Look for a little bit of a pullback, possibly. Mara, another really good one. Okay. Again, if you're looking at it further out, then you can do further out plays. But seasonality on Mara, which is a 5-year, is flattened to the downside until November. So when I really want to look to pick up some Mara is in November. Okay, late October, November. All right, crude oil. So again, super interesting to me, okay? I mentioned this in the day trading session this morning. So crude oil, you can see how the cloud's red. We've been coming down, but it's been basically respecting this level right here. Let's just call it 66, okay? So if it holds, this could be a phenomenal opportunity to go long. Okay, let me clear some of this junk out. Okay, and let me re-put this support line. Okay, so if it holds, I love this long soon. When? Well, when the Laguerre heads up, and I would love this to break above the cloud. Okay, break above the magic cloud, ideally turn green. But if everything else is and it's coming above, I'll look at it. The other thing I'm really looking for is what are retailers doing, right? Right now, 66% of retailer traders are long crude. Okay, that's why we've had this down move. Unfortunately, they're almost always wrong, right? You know that. So I'm not doing anything yet. If I had to make a decision now, I would think that it's going to kind of hang into this cloud and head lower, okay? Unless sentiment changes. So once sentiment changes, if it does, and it holds this level at 66, it'd be a phenomenal opportunity to go long, probably another $10, okay? But I'm just waiting for the story to play out. I'm waiting for sentiment to see if it changes, because I don't want to go long when that's what all the, when over 66, let me see, what is it right now? I'm gonna look at it right now. Yeah, when over 66% of retailers are long right now, I don't want to go in their direction, okay? But that can change quickly. So if I look at it tomorrow and we're closer to 50-50 and the price is heading higher, then I like it. So more to come on this, but ideally we're shaping up for a potential really good long play here, right? Okay, dollar index. So I was trying to do a long play on this and I didn't get filled this week, but it would have hit profit target if I would have got filled. But, again, we had a Laguerre, green dot, in agreement with the cloud, the magic cloud here, okay? It's not going to get much better than that, folks. It's not going to get much better than that, okay? So those are the ones, if you really want to be patient, that you look for, where you're in a trend, it comes down and right around that 2.5 standard deviation, it starts going sideways. Then we get back to green dots with the Laguerre, with the cloud turning green, okay, that's a great opportunity. Will it work 100% of the time? Probably not. Hopefully it does though, right? But it doesn't get much better than that. So those are ideal situations, okay? Here you can see on the dollar index, the dollar tends to trend, okay? That's why it's kind of fun to trade. So here, you know, we turned red and we just continued down, and you see how when it made its retracement, how that cloud had that resistance and it turned right back over, okay? So once it closes above and we turn green, then my bias is to the upside, okay? And obviously I like to look at it in regards with seasonality. Right now from left to right on the 10-year, it's slightly up. So the dollar is usually stronger this time of year. So that's how I play it, okay? All right, what else? Bonds. So this is a very, very forecasted move that happens year after year on bonds, right? It usually goes higher to mid-August or so, okay? But June, July, at some point in June and then July and part of August, it's bullish. But here's what I like. So at this point, you can see now, it's come through the cloud. So very close to that 2.5 standard deviation. So what I'm looking for, I would still go long for another week or so if given the trigger here, okay? But I'm gonna wait to see if it gives us that trigger. And bringing up TLT here for you. So it kissed that 2.5 standard deviation and it bounced. If this wants to turn around now, I like this for another week or two long for a shorter term opportunity, okay? Eventually we're gonna head lower though. But this is a very forecasted move. Put in your notes for next year. When you get a trigger long in June, okay, it's a high probability trade for 2 to 2.5, 3 months, okay? In this case, we got our trigger right here. Okay, the cloud was still red, but then it broke through. So you could have entered, you know, roughly, let's say at 138. And what was the high up there? 152. Okay. Very, very high though. Probability somewhere in June and July, bullish activity on bonds. Okay. So keep that written down for next year. All right, AMD. So here's another good example. You guys can kind of test this out now. All right, we got very, very bullish activity on AMD. Hit new highs, right? My fear is always when we hit new highs in a stretch like this, that you're going to get that pullback, right? Very normal. Okay. So now we'll see if it holds within this cloud here. Okay. And then the Laguerre to turn, green dot, you're good to go long. Okay. AMD will probably hit new highs in the next couple of weeks again, right? But if we don't get green, Hakanachi, we don't get the Laguerre triggering long like it did here, we're not going in, right? We have a plan. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. But that's my plan on AMD. I love an entry. Hey, if it comes down to the, right now, the daily support line, this is part of that indicator, is 107.78. Okay, so if it holds 107.78, let me just draw that for you to show you. If it holds this, okay, that's a great long opportunity, especially with that Laguerre, with the Hakanachi, all in agreement, okay? You're going to get in at a discount. You get in at 101 and go up to 122. That's a good profit for you, okay? So that's your plan on AMD, right? All right, Broadcom. You can see how it's just been, even during the moves down to that 2.5 standard deviation, the cloud's been staying green. Okay, so I'm only looking for long plays in that case. Okay, we have a nice seasonal influence. My problem right now with AMD is you're getting a lot of wicks. Okay, it's one of my favorites to trade, but not right now. If I would do it, I'd be doing a debit spread on it. And Broadcom will be much higher by the end of the year. All right, CRM, Salesforce, right? So what I wanted to show you with the cloud, so when you start getting the roller coaster, I call it, okay, red, up, green, like anything else, okay, it's indecisive right now, right? You can see kind of the seasonal peaks at the end of August, kind of flat. You know, if we had to pick a direction, right, green means long, but we're really consolidating here. So I think there's better opportunity. So again, the reason I created the cloud, this magic cloud, is to show me what the trend is based on my definition. Okay, so I can look at anything real quick and tell you the trend. All right, Nvidia, one of my favorites of the year, right? Very interesting. We have earnings coming up on the 18th. Okay, we had a high of 208 here. Now it retraced, but cloud stayed green, and we kissed almost that 2.5 standard deviation, right? These in itself are fantastic opportunities, okay? Because then if you get in on this next candle or you wait for the green, you just put your, if it closes below that, you just get out, right? So low risk. What I'm looking for is after earnings, I want to get back into Nvidia with my techniques, okay? So I'm not looking to get in yet. Again, I'll wait until after earnings. If we get a dip in earnings, we'll just wait again for that Laguerre to come into the green and come back out. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks with Nvidia. All right, so the VIX. VIX has just been kind of stable, summer stability, right? As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, what I'm waiting for is the next spike. Okay, when I get the next spike, I'll look to make money when it comes back down. So keep an eye on the VIX every week. You should be looking at it every day, just so you know where it's at. Okay. So Apple hasn't been doing much lately, pretty flat, right? But again, good seasonal move on Apple. Support line at 146.25. As long as it holds this, right? I mean, it'll hit new highs at some point here. What I'm looking for, though, to be honest with you, something like Apple is the next retracement. That's when I'll look to go long. Okay. A lot of consolidation right now on Apple. I do think it'll still hit 200 by the end of the year. Okay. Sure, we can look at TTWO. So, you know, here's a situation where you've got a seasonal long, right? Green dots, no Laguerre trigger yet. Okay. So what we like to see is this to come out and break through the cloud. Once it breaks through, if the Laguerre is up with the green dot, it could be an entry for you. Okay, but right now, based on my definition of this cloud, we're in a downtrend. Okay. As I mentioned, a number 2 trade is if everything else is working out, you can go against the cloud if you're okay with your risk here. Okay. I mean, we don't have triggers yet, so I wouldn't yet. But it's more conservative to wait for it to see if it closes above. Okay. Because a lot of times this is where it's going to hold serve and continue lower. Okay, it's done it here, it's done it here, it's done it here. So I'm more biased to the upside based on the seasonal, but I think the smartest thing would be to wait patiently for the Laguerre and then wait for the cloud to turn green. And then what you can do is put your stop at the bottom of the cloud. Okay. Yeah, excellent. Oh yeah, so one of my questions is the SIG here. So what I like to do, folks, is, I mean, you can have the 20, 40, 60, and that 20 still, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just not getting an answer with Thinkorswim right now. But what this tells you is you have a 8% move coming over the next 3 months at some point. So I just like to know that, because, you know, if I look at something like Amazon, okay, having a 1.0 SIG here just tells me we have an 8% move coming. So when I get a trigger within that time frame, you know, like air trigger, like right here, GameStop, right? 1.0 long on the Laguerre. See that? Problem is, I'm not going against that downtrend, so I'm going to wait. Okay, but let's say we were green here, then you know you have an 8% move coming. That's how I use SIG. Sometimes I'll put the 40 and the 60, or just the 60, or just the 40. But what this tells me, regardless, is that we have a move coming. So that's how I've been using it. Yep. Okay, so what I wanted to kind of show you today, I wanted to keep this in front of you. And I want to show you some short-term opportunities, okay? So let me just bring some up. So ALGN, this is from my data mining, okay? My data mining package. And I'm looking at shorter term trades, less than 20 days. For now, anyway. Okay, I figured I'd mix it up on you a little bit today. So for ALGN, yeah, so on the 20, John, everyone's getting that. Sometimes if you reinstall it, it works, but the 40 and 60 always works. So you have no issues with, should have no issues with the 40, 60. But I'm using SIG, and then I usually use one of those, or just keep SIG, because that tells me what I need anyway. Okay. Yep. So ALGN, here's the data, folks. Let me actually draw it in here. This is a good strategy for you to do. So if you went long on 826, you exited on 913. Okay. This trade (18 out of 19 years) has gone higher of an average of 8%. Okay. So again, what that means is if you just literally went long on 819, oops. And if it's on the weekend, it's the day, you know, the Monday. But if you went long here, and then you exited on 913, okay, this has made money during this window here, 18 out of 19 years. It's made about an 8% move. Okay, so 18 out of 19 years has gone higher. Okay. Now again, oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Let me change that. 826. Let me just, where is that? Remove. Sorry about that. Thanks for catching that. So 826. So during this window, it's gone higher 18 out of 19 years. Okay. Now again, what do I do? You can just go long on 826 if you're okay with this risk, right? Because it's worked 18 out of 19 years. I don't typically do that. So what I look for is on these shorter term plays, I like to go to the 4 hour. Okay. And so as we get a week to that point, that window of opportunity. Okay. So as we get closer to that opportunity, okay, I'll take a 4 hour trigger with a Laguerre and a Hackenacci, because I try to maximize that, okay? But what I want to show you today is just some pure data, okay? Just so you can put it on your charts and you can see how it would work out, okay? Let's see here. So on 827 last year, you see the combo long? So 826, and there it goes higher, okay? So why is that? Obviously something's going on every year there, okay? Every year. Again, this happened to work out on the daily to get a combo trigger there. I mean, that's beautiful. I couldn't draw that up. I did not give this example. This is a live example. Like I didn't research this. But anyway, but again, I don't expect that to happen every time. You can go to a 4 hour, a 1 hour during that window, or even a few days early, okay? Just some ideas for these, those of you that have that less than 20 days, you know, that data mining. If you like shorter term trades, use it, okay? Okay. We'll give you another one. So I'll give you one that's worked out 28 out of 33 years, okay? Anybody here Nike? So what I like about this, right? Beautiful cloud, nice and solid, okay? So on Nike, 831 to 919, okay? So I won't do that again. I won't bore you all, but I will write that in for you, maybe. So 831 to 919, 28 out of 33 years, 7% average profit, okay? So obviously nothing's guaranteed. You can see with the seasonal agreeing with that, though, that what we have is a pocket of buying coming up for Nike, okay? And you may like Nike anyway with the beautiful uptrend, right? So again, one way to enter that on Nike could be on the next 4 hour trigger, okay? So now it's heading down on that next 4 hour trigger. That may be an opportunity, okay? Or you say, you know what? It's worked out 20 out of 33 years between this 2 week window or 3 week window. I'm just gonna go in on 831. Yeah, so great question. So 919 is a Sunday this year. Okay, then the exit is the day after. Yep. And if it's at the beginning, so let's say 831 was a Saturday, it'd be a Monday you would enter. Okay. So it's always the day after if it's on a weekend. Yep. Any questions on that? Okay. Let me give you another one. DXCM, okay, another beautiful uptrend, right? That's Dexcom Incorporated. So it's gone higher 14 out of the last 15 years. Okay, so 93% of the time, about 11% average profit between 8.6 and 8.27. So between 8.6, which is right here, okay, and 8.27. So now you can wait and say, okay, on that next 4 hour trigger, okay, when that happens, I'm even going to get a better price than if I went in on the 6, right? So you're still following discipline rules, because if this continued down, you're not getting in. But when that Laguerre and the green Hackenacci, and again, the cloud's still green right now, at the 2.5 standard deviation on that 4 hour, right? This could be a great opportunity for you, right? Again, just some different strategies you can use with high probability setups based on the past data, okay? And if you don't get triggers, you don't take them. It's that simple. All right, let me give you one more. Then we'll talk a little bit longer term ones as well. So Amazon, right? They had their earnings and Amazon's going to zero, right? No, Amazon's not going to zero. You got a lot of people licking their chops now, getting a discount, right? Well, here's one thing to look at. So on Amazon, if you enter, I'm going to draw this one out. So if you went long on 829, it's a really short one, right? Exited on 9.6. 20 out of 23 years, 5% average profit, okay? But what that's telling you is when we get into the end of August, there's going to be your buying opportunity right here, okay? So if you start getting a turnaround here on this daily chart, Amazon starts heading up, the cloud turns green, Hakanachi, Ligera all line up. Be a great opportunity with your stop below these lows, right? But no entry yet, right? Okay, I want to show you some, a little bit longer term trades now for starting for September, okay? So some of you probably heard of MTD. And, MTD been around for a long time. It's in this beautiful trend, right? Look at that, kiss almost the bottom of the cloud, but it's in a beautiful trend, okay? So the next pullback, you want to go long on this, folks, in my opinion, okay? Because what the data suggests that if you go long on September 1 and exit right around the start of December, okay, so like a 3-month option play, for example, it's made money 96% of the time it's been around out of 23 years, okay? So 22 out of 23 years, about 14% move. So you're just waiting at this point for a little bit of a retracement, okay? Like here, and coming into a 3 to 4 month option play, you have a really good probability, right? That 14% profit is based off of the stock, right? So the option play will be much larger, okay? Keep an eye on MTD. How about a trade that's got 40 years of data? So look at this, Omni Group, OMC, okay? So first of all, should this downtrend be a surprise? No. You see this white dotted line? This is what should have been happening on the underline. This is what happened. It went down. So it's following its seasonal pattern beautifully, right? Now we're getting the move, okay? Here's the data on OMC. $9.30. This is a little bit longer. To 119. 36 out of 40 years, it's gone higher. 11% average move, okay? So what I would recommend is something like this. What I'm going to do, I'm not taking this quite yet, okay? We have some time. I want this to happen again. So I want this to come up, come back. I want the cloud to turn green, okay? Then I'll look for a 4-month option play, like an end of January expiration, okay? Or February. whatever looks best, knowing the stock itself has 11% move coming 36 out of 40 years, okay? So sometimes when you look at a downtrend, if you don't look at what it's supposed to do, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, folks. This is normal movement on OMC, okay? All right, how about something that has been around 43 years? Johnson & Johnson. Anybody hear that? Okay. So J&J from 9/15 until the end of November, okay? 37 out of 43 years, it's gone higher, 7% average. So again, 86% isn't 95%, right? But you're talking 43 years of high probabilities, okay? So let's look at last September. I don't know. Let's see what it did last. Let's see if we got a trigger last September. Okay. So it looks like there was a trigger right here on September 28th on the daily. Okay, right here. And depending on when you got out, how you manage that, it came up to the top band. Okay. But knowing it's good till end of November, or start of November there, right? Once this downtrend comes, you hit a low, right? Then you get a new potential entry there. Okay, so what's going to happen this year? We don't know yet. Although it's in a really good uptrend, and we have 85% probability since J&J's been around during that window, it's going to head higher. Okay. So again, the reason I'm spending so much time on these today is if you only look at some of these high potential opportunities, you're looking at the best of the best. Okay, you're going to do well. The odds are in your favor. Okay, these aren't 2 out of 2 years. These aren't 3 out of 3 years, right? Some of these are 29 out of 33. For example, Cisco. Right, and these that have been around that long too have proven themselves, right? Hold on one second. Or they get bought out. Let's look at CE. Celanese Corp. So here's a good example where we got back to the change of the cloud. Okay, now Celanese is one of those opportunities where it's been around 15 years, it's gone higher 13 out of 15. So to me, that's not as significant as some of these other ones that have been around longer with just as high probability. So what does that mean? Well, if I take these, maybe I do a smaller size, right? So you can use that data on how you want to size appropriately. You know, AutoZone is just killing it, right? All you car wash people, right? No, but it's been a nice uptrend. It came down. Now it looks like it wants to head higher again, right? Well, if you know anything about AutoZone, you know that start of September till December, it goes higher, okay? 26 out of 29 years. So again, just keep your watch list, folks, of these high probabilities. And when you get that retracement, because it will happen, okay? When you get that retracement, look for your entry, okay? And that can be off the daily. You can wait for a 4-hour, but this is something that happens year over year over. And if you just follow those instructions, you're gonna like the results, okay? Trading's hard enough. You need to understand patterns of each stock, futures, or ETF. All right, any questions, folks? Home Depot? Sure, let's take a look. So Home Depot, which is interesting, right? Lumber plummeted, but Home Depot is holding its own. Okay. Home Depot's got a great season. All right. Look at that dotted green line. Okay. So what I'm waiting for is after earnings here, then I'll look to get a long play at some point in the near future. Same rules, right? That we talked about. So we don't know when that will be, but we have a plan. We know exactly when we want to get in, Rick, right? When the rules are there. I'd be careful with earnings though. Home Depot could definitely have some sort of unexpected, like back here, earnings hit, it came down, but this is what I mean. See the potential right here is our new entry. See how beautiful that was? So maybe it'll do the same thing and give us that opportunity. Okay. Yeah, Cisco's kind of flat, okay, but it's in an uptrend. So, again, I would wait for after earnings at this point, 7 days away. But when you have these uptrends, wait for those pullbacks, and then you can follow the rules. All right. Any final questions? Again, I think the markets will continue to go higher. If we get lucky enough to get a pullback in the markets, we'll look to take advantage of that, right? Well, thank you, John, for attending. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chris. Rick, good to see you, Shug. All right, folks. Well, again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If not, again, have a great week, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll do it all again. Take care, everyone. Bye now.